Welcome to VidZet, your home for careful consideration of our common concerns. I'm Dr. Ted Noel. Remember when those lefty talking heads told the truth? You don't? You're sure? You know something? I can't remember that either. Let's start with news from this week. Newsweek tweeted, quote, Melania Trump orders removal of the near 200-year-old tree from the White House. Close quote. This sounds like the First Lady hates trees or wants a clearer view from the windows the tree is in front of. The fact is that this tree has been sick for decades, and after the experts weighed in, the First Lady just agreed that it wasn't safe to leave the tree standing. In other words, she acted responsibly, but Newsweek made it look like she was a lunatic. So now they tweet that she is, quote, more admired than Beyonce and Kate Middleton, close quote. Could it be they're trying to apologize without apologizing? Newsweek didn't just slam Melania. They declared that Donald, quote, stole Christmas to promote white nationalism, close quote. Really? There's no polite way to deal with such a lie. All the president did was say that we aren't going to keep the war against Christianity going the way Barack Obama did. It's okay to say Merry Christmas, and no one in the government is going to take any notice of it. And by the way, lest you forget, white supremacy groups are left-wing. The Nazis got their racist stances and techniques directly from the Democrat Party of the 1930s. Salon and the Huffington Post are part of a chorus that declares that Trump is somehow a danger to freedom of the press. They cite a tweet where he details that fake NBC News made up a story that he wanted to increase our nuclear arsenal by 10 times. That's not contrary to the First Amendment. It's pointing out lies, and the left doesn't like it when the finger points at them. This sort of criticism is nothing new. George Washington complained about the press during his later years in office. Almost every president since has also had complaints. The difference here is that the left has such a deep hatred for Donald Trump as a person that they cannot even see their own lies. When Trump tweeted, "At what point is it appropriate to challenge their license?" the left took this as a threat that Trump was going to send police or soldiers into newsrooms to shut them down. Instead of understanding that the president was using a rhetorical flourish to point out how far they'd gone over the edge, they took it as a personal threat. Of course, the granddaddy of them all is Trump and Russia. The first step was a bromance between Trump and Putin. Supposedly they were BFFs. All this came from Trump's comment on Fox News in 2015 that as president, he'd get along very well with Putin. Then he told Maria Bartiromo that Putin is somebody that can be dealt with. He further commented on Putin's brilliance and the fact that he's a great leader who loves his country. I have to ask, where in all of this does Trump even suggest that Putin is his friend? Think hard. Oh wait, he doesn't. Trump calls Putin a smart leader. That's an observation. And Putin is a smart leader. The fact that he's leading Russia down a terrible path is a completely unrelated point. Trump merely observed that he was a good leader who handled the media brilliantly. But the U.S. media couldn't allow that to be the narrative. They had to make it into something it never was. Now, a bromance is a personal relationship between two men. There was no personal relationship, even if Putin and Trump have had minor contact in the past. Trump spoke the truth about Putin, but the press turned it into something different. And even this week, Democrat Representative Gerald Connolly of Virginia stuck to the story that the two have a bromance. All this serves to support the false narrative that the Russians were willing partners with Trump in stealing the election. They jumped on a July 27 statement by Trump. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 Hillary Clinton emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press. This line's been used again and again by the left to say that Trump was calling on the Russians to hack Hillary's server. Once again, the left doesn't care what the facts are. What Trump said was simply, if you've got them, send them on over. In other words, because the left's candidate destroyed evidence, it would be good to see it from another source. Since we know that Russia has lots of paid hackers, maybe you've already got it. Obviously, since then, the server had already been destroyed, so that there was no way for the Russians to hack it. But why let such an obvious truth get in the way of slandering Donald Trump? The New Republic declared that Trump was advocating that U.S. laws be broken. That's insane. If the Russians had hacked, that was past tense. Donald was rhetorically pointing out that Hillary Clinton was flaunting the law. Since the Russians probably had the goods on her, why not reveal what you've got? That's not advocating the breaking of any law. But once again, why let the truth get in the way of your story? The whole Russia collusion story is the invention of the Hillary campaign. They paid their law firm to hire Fusion GPS to invent the Russia dossier. This process itself is a criminal act. The dossier was used to get a FISA warrant to wiretap the Trump campaign. By the way, do you remember the widely poo-pooed tweet about Trump Tower being wiretapped? It was. And submitting the FISA application to tap it was based on phony material, and that's another criminal act. So far, there has been zero, let's say it again, zero, zip, not evidence that the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians during the campaign. As we speak, it appears that the Clinton campaign is about to be nailed for, drumroll please, collusion with the Russians. The Uranium One deal is just the beginning. If, after a year of investigating, there is nothing against Trump, could it be that he didn't do anything wrong? We should also note that collusion is not a crime. The left uses the word as if it were, but sorry, that won't wash. If we look at the record, under Obama, there were essentially zero negative stories about him that the media had to retract. Under Trump, there are literally dozens. Could it be that the media is part of the swamp? Nah, can't be. When your hard left acquaintances come up with some wild-eyed story about Trump, ask them for evidence. There isn't any. Their problem is that he's a very effective president, and he's effective in restoring freedom by destroying layers of government rule. That's a good thing. Please remember to support VidZet on Patreon, like us on Facebook, and follow @VidZet on Twitter. I'm Dr. Ted Noel. Thanks for listening, and Happy New Year.